So gather around, because I'm about to tell you about some of the most magnificent and insane inventions that have ever graced our roads. Of course, Purves hadn't lost his mind. His logic was quite sound: fewer moving parts than a conventional automobile, brilliant efficiency thanks to that colossal diameter, surprisingly smooth travel over rough terrain, and impressive passenger capacity for a machine that weighed less than the average Morris Minor. But everything went sideways. The turning radius was roughly the size of Wales. The machine caught crosswinds like a Victorian lady's parasol in a hurricane, and here's the fascinating part: sudden acceleration, or braking, would send the poor passengers tumbling about inside like socks in a washing machine. They called this the hamster wheel effect, which speaks volumes about the dignity of the experience. Add to this the fact that half the time you couldn't see where you were going, getting in and out required the athletic prowess of a circus performer, and attempting to navigate a hill or wet road was like trying to pilot a shopping cart through a minefield. In the end, the Dinosphere did what many British inventions do. It became a magnificent, eccentric curiosity that people point to in museums and say, "Good Lord, what were they thinking?" A magnificent failure, truly and without irony. Absolutely magnificent. The dawn of the 20th century, an era of audacious experiments and brilliant new possibilities. Russian Count Pyotr P. Shklovsky was clever, wealthy, and refreshingly progressive for a nobleman in the twilight years of Tsarist Russia. In 1911, he dreamed up a two-wheeled contraption for getting about, but this wasn't some common motorcycle. Oh no. Back home in Russia, actually building anything remotely innovative was absolutely impossible, so he struck a deal with a motor company in Birmingham to create what he called a gyrocar. Russian genius meets British engineering. What could possibly go wrong? The star of this mechanical show was a gyroscope over a meter across and weighing a hefty 600 kilograms. This colossal spinning top whirred up to 2,000 revolutions per minute, and during trials in 1913, not one burly strongman could tip the gyrocar over. Simply wouldn't budge. Come spring 1914, London's Regent's Park hosted the official demonstration of the Russian Count's magnificent machine. The gyrocar was an absolute sensation. The only glaring drawback was its turning circle, roughly the size of a small planet. The fiendishly complicated steering system with its pendulums and counterweights desperately needed sorting out. But then the Great War kicked off, and everyone promptly forgot about the gyrocar. Engineers returned to this brilliant idea several times over the decades, but never managed to get beyond the prototype stage. The last attempt was in 2010 when startup Lit Motors presented their C1, a rather fetching little machine. Perhaps this idea is still waiting for its truly genius engineer to come along. If you can't reduce the number of wheels, then perhaps you can shrink the car itself. After World War I, Europe lay in ruins, people's pockets were empty, and the only thing moving faster than pedestrians were rumors that the war had finally ended. Then some brilliant engineer thought, what if we take a motorcycle, cut it in half, add a third wheel, and call it a car? Suddenly, Europe's roads were swarming with these tiny mechanical insects. People who just a year before had been hiding in trenches from German shells were now cheerfully buying German automobiles the size of baby carriages. These little cars were slow, unstable, and made sounds like a dying moped. But they gave ordinary people freedom of movement after years of horror. The BMW i7 are a car you had to climb into through the front windshield, like getting into a tin can. The Messerschmitt KR200, essentially a fighter plane without wings, but with a seat for your wife in the back. There's something beautiful about that, isn't there? But there's another direction in automotive engineering altogether. More wheels. This is the French experimental all-terrain vehicle by Adolphe Cagrès with triple wheels from the late 1920s. But that's a story for another time.